Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my 2022 BookTube Prize Octafinals TBR and General Reaction Announcement D thing. Okay, I'm getting excited here, so I'll stop rambling a title. The BookTube Prize was started in 2019 by Robert of Barter Hordes. We've grown exponentially year by year. I believe we have 350 judges this year from 45 countries, and we are convening to judge the best of the best in U.S. Literary fiction, U.S. nonfiction, and U.S. translated fiction that was published last year. Back in January, the judges convened and we voted for the long lists for each of those divisions, and now each division has a 48 book long list. And we are going to whittle those 48 books down into winners and runners up in October, going 2 months at a time in 4 different rounds, starting with the Octafinals. And anyway, I will link to more BookTube Prize information down below. This is my 3rd year being an official judge, and I find myself excited anew yet again at the prospect of reading books that I might not have heard of or might not have gotten to for a while, and then talking about their merits with the judges at the end of each round. I actually decided to sit out of the translated fiction division this year, but then when watching Robert's Octafinals announcement video, which I'll link down below, I got excited for those books as well, for example, because one of them, The Slaughterman's Daughter by Yaniv Itzkovitz, I already own and intend to read for my own readathon in a couple of months, so what do you know? Anyway, I signed up to judge fiction and nonfiction in those 2 divisions, and here I have the printouts of the 2 lists of possible contenders for the long lists, what I voted for, and now I'm just, having some geeky fun on my own, tracking what made it and how far it gets. And it's shaping up to be a weird year for me already in that regard as well, because I consider myself to be a team fiction person, more on the pulse of fiction than nonfiction. And it turns out that of the 20 titles I was able to nominate to the long list in fiction, 17 out of 20 made the list. That's cool. But for nonfiction, it was 18 out of 20 that I nominated that made it to the long list. So what do you know? Maybe I've found my way in with the in crowd in nonfiction too. I am reading more diversely in nonfiction, thanks to the BookTube Prize. And I was expecting to read nonfiction for this division because in general I believe there's fewer judges who sign up to judge nonfiction, and we need the most of them for the Octafinals round where we are all having to judge 48 books. But instead, the computer algorithm decided it wanted to change things up for me this year, and for the 2022 Octafinals, I was placed in a fiction division, in Fiction Group E. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a montage of the 6 titles that I have to read in the next 2 months, and then I'll give my preliminary thoughts on each of them. I have not started to read yet, and of course once I do, my lips are sealed. Okay, here are my thoughts on each of these books, starting I guess with the one I am the least familiar with, which I believe is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. I don't know much about this one at all, so I'm going in pretty blind, and that could be exciting. There's been times when I knew nothing about a book that I was about to read for the BookTube Prize, and it really turned out to be something I enjoyed or a favorite or something like that. So here we go with that opportunity again. I guess the next book I have the least amount of opinion on, I suppose, is Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. I just think of this as historical aviation fiction, I guess. And in my mind, I link it to another book on the fiction long list. I think because back last Mother's Day, the East City Bookshop, which is a local bookshop to me, had these sort of Mother's Day basket gift baskets, and you could choose, like, one of 5 books to place in a basket with like a bunch of homemade chocolate or something for your mother. And Great Circle and the other book were on it, and I chose the other book for my mother. But that's how Great Circle kind of got onto my radar after that. And now I'll get to see what I think of it. Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro is one I also don't really know a lot about. I know it has science fiction elements. Personally, I love science fiction, although I'm a little iffy sometimes about, the intersection of science fiction and literary fiction, although sometimes it actually turns out great. But with Kazuo Ishiguro, this is an author I've heard of, and just based off of, I guess, random impressions from booktube videos, I figured he wouldn't ever be an author that I'd be interested in reading. But now, of course, I am compelled to read him, and it's a reminder to myself, to not judge a book by its cover, or not judge a book until you open the cover and start reading it. So, this could be great stuff. Then there's The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nhi Vo, which I have heard of and vaguely thought of for the last couple of years. This, I think, was the first big, popular Great Gatsby retelling since Gatsby went into the public domain. A very interesting one, I think, to be the most first and most popular, because it has magical elements, and Jordan Baker is reimagined into a queer Vietnamese character, so we're going far afield of the original, but of course that can be the point now that Gatsby is in the public domain, and this one has gotten really rave reviews. There's another Great Gatsby retelling that was on my anticipated reads list for this year, and I recently read an article that compared that book to The Chosen and the Beautiful, and The Chosen and the Beautiful definitely came out on top, so I should be using that as a hopeful development for as I go forward and read this book. And finally, we have the 2 books that I actually voted for to get onto the long list, and now I get to read them and see if my experience lives up. So I'll start with The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois by Honoré Fernand Jeffers, which I voted for because I figured the hype was huge. So I knew that I heard of it, and I knew, obviously, it got some really rave reviews, though admittedly I'm kind of intimidated by this one, partially because of all of that hype, and partially because of the page count. This will be the longest book on my ballot this round. This book comes in at over 800 pages, certainly about twice as long as most fiction books that I usually read, so in that way I suppose it has a bit to live up to, but I gotta not be biased when it comes to page count. To remind myself, the longest book I read last year in nonfiction, which came out at over 1,000 pages, turned out to be my favorite nonfiction book of the year, so I'll try to take that into this book as well. And finally, the book I'm most looking forward to is The 5 Wounds by Kirsten Valdez Quaid. I put this book on my own personal TBR, I think shortly after Liberty Hardy probably mentioned it on one of the Book Riot podcasts, or whoever would have mentioned it on the Book Riot podcasts. It just seemed to me like my perfect blend of family relationships, external drama and culture, and just literary fiction writing, hopefully, come together in a nice swell package that I would want to read. So I didn't figure I'd even get to it for a while because I have such long TBR lists, but now I get to put it at the top of my list, and I'm very excited. And I feel like in this case I have to water down my excitement because I do not want to give this book an unfair advantage in my head. Any book could be the best book of the lot. And certainly in the past, the book I thought I'd like the most didn't always turn out to be my favorite of the round. Sometimes it did, but I guess I should have some self-confidence going into this, I suppose. This isn't my first time coming to a round of books where I have, you know, a variety of different opinions and impressions going in, but I know how to be as unbiased as I can be in my reading, and I've always felt pretty confident with my rankings at the end. And with that, I am zipping my lips. I will not be saying any more about these books except to hold them up in my Friday Reads videos and, you know, promote the BookTube prize even more. But you will have to wait until the end of March or early April when the Octafinals results are announced, and then I will give my thoughts on these books. So that about covers it for me now. I will also leave the Goodreads links for all 6 of these books linked down below. And you will see me back on this channel within the next couple of days to do my February page 112 tag video. A video I'm always very excited to make, but now of course I'm thinking, oh great, I'm adding yet another book to my upcoming recent TBR, so we'll see how this does. Again, I should have confidence in myself in this element too. I've been able to read 6 books on deadline for the BookTube prize and a bunch of other reading as well. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some great months in reading coming up. And I see some other preliminary thoughts BookTube prize videos that have come up since Robert's announcement. I'm very excited to watch those as well before we all have to go radio dark. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.